Thank you so much, Jackie and Odin and Johnny and everyone for your patience while something that should have been done a couple days ago was completed, that is putting the slides together. So I just wanted to say one thing to begin with, which is that our understanding of the tradition that we are part of changes over the course of our lifetime. As we learn more, as we study more, as our experiences change. And I think that's a piece of what John of Damascus is pointing us to, that there's no sort of once and for all about how we understand our tradition or for what we believe. And that's one of the things we treasure in this congregation. So, I mean, we begin with, what is this Trinity? We have this annual Trinity Sunday, part of the liturgical year, but what is the Trinity? We don't talk about that a lot here. But it's an understanding that God is not one, but is three persons or three beings in one, interpenetrating, interwoven, interacting, interdependent. And there's no simple way to understand this. The Trinity wasn't there in the early years of Christianity, or even before it was called Christianity. Jesus didn't know about the Trinity, and it's not explicitly stated anywhere in the Bible. But by the middle of the 2nd century, theologians were trying to understand what does it mean where, for example, in 1 Corinthians, we hear about the mystery of God, and we hear about Jesus Christ, and we hear about the Spirit, trying to understand how they all relate. So that's what's going on here. From the beginning, there were people who objected to this idea. They held on to the idea that one God was one God, and there were not multiple dimensions within this God. John of Damascus did understand the Trinity as a right depiction of God, but as he showed us, we can only understand by analogy, and if we can hold all those analogies in our minds at once and many more, then maybe we would understand it. So he's pointing out to us that we can ponder the Trinity, but it's never going to have the clarity, for example, of what is a square or a circle. It kind of lay there, mostly accepted for a long time until the Protestant Reformation, actually, which had its origins and the rise of anti-Trinitarianism, which came to be called Unitarianism, started in Europe, in Spain and Italy, where people ended up exiled to Poland or Transylvania, to Holland, and from there the influence to England, and from there to the United States, especially among the Congregationalists in New England. So, is this idea of the Trinity of any use to us today? A number of contemporary theologians consider the Trinity in this way. They go back to John of Damascus, who talked about the Trinity as a community. And so understanding God as showing us what community looks like. So contemporary theologians will say, community is intrinsic to being, and so with that we understand Trinity a little bit better. One theologian wrote an article called Community as Primal Reality and noted that even in the cosmos, we don't see stars and galaxies spread evenly across, but gathering together as if in community. So this idea of community as being inherent to the nature of the cosmos and to God and hence to us. And that brings us to what we've been talking about here the last few weeks. It's with great joy and anticipation, we look forward to new members joining us next Sunday, June 2nd. 7 and possibly 8 new members. And I think it speaks to community as we experience it here, that people are drawn to us, not everybody, but people who sense in us, with us, that this is a place where they too belong, and where the conversations they hope to have and the wonderings about their life and the purpose of their life and the purpose of faith can be brought together. So, even more so, people talk about the friendship among Creator, Christ, and Holy Spirit, and that friendship is a model for the church. And some say that friendship is where we learn how to relate to others, not only privately, but also in the public sphere, because we're seeking the common good, not just good for ourselves, but good for the wider world. Friendship is a free relationship. We get to choose it. We choose to be friends with each other. It's not quite like siblings in that way. Siblings are good too. But friendship, it's a metaphor for what we consider as our Christian fellowship. Friendship is lived in freedom. And the essence of the Trinity is that freedom to participate. So here we are, celebrating together on a Sunday morning as a community of friends, a community of mutual support, of communication, of love, of seeking the common good. Thank you, friends.